Oh, sorry, I'm in the middle of this great story. It's about a woman who comes flying through the... Oh, you probably know it anyway. Well, speaking of stories, today we're going to talk about, is your story helping you or hurting you? You definitely want to stick around for this one because it can change your whole life. Listen, we all have stories. No matter what, you got a story about money, you got a story about relationships, you have a story about the world, you have a story about your body, you've got stories, we got stories. So today, we're going to talk about if your story is helping you or is it hurting you. So welcome to my channel. My name is Max Ryan. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a law of attraction trainer and an intuitive, and what I do on this channel is to help you to attract positive results in your life. And you do that by learning how to truly trust and know who you are. So if that is something that feels right to you, I'd invite you to subscribe and hit the little bell to make sure that you see my new videos every week, a couple times a week, at least. So welcome. All right, so just briefly, if you've never read Mary Poppins before, read it. Read it. Great, wonderful work. Works on your imagination, beautifully written, and very different than the movies. But really, check it out. So that's my plug for today. Let's talk about stories. As we go through our life, what we do is we naturally and subconsciously create stories. And these stories in our mind, in our brain, are either helping us to move into more flow, more peace, more joy, or they're pushing the flow, the peace, the joy away. I hope that makes sense to you, right? So, there are stories all over the place. You got a story about your boss, you got a story about your kid, you got a story about your cat, you got a story about the computer, you have a story about the internet, you got a story about everything. But that's too overwhelming. What we want to do is we want to start to look at stories and how they're created, first of all. They're created at a very, very deep psychological place. And if you know the work that I do, this is all about the combination of using your psychology to really help you to have spiritual freedom. And so when we look at our psychology, we unconsciously create these stories because of our first impressions about something, right? And these could be from when you're a child, it could be from when you're introduced to something, and over the years, these stories solidify, and you think that they are real. So what you're doing is you're giving meaning to something, and that story is either helping you in your life or it's holding you back from all that you would like to experience. Does that make sense? Right? So today, we're just going to look at three. They're pretty big. I mean, big in where you start. You don't have to worry about the story about your cat right now. But we do have to look at these three stories. Are you ready? Okay. The first is the story that you have written about yourself. The story you've written about yourself. Really important. What is it that you assume about yourself? What do you expect from yourself? And what do you believe about yourself? These are the three elements of story we're going to look at. Assumptions, expectations, and beliefs. All of those create the story of you and the story of everything, even your cat. Okay? So the first one you want to look at, what are all of those three in comparison to you? You know, the work takes work, right? So you need to look at your story. I believe this about me. I expect this from me. I assume this from me. Because those things are the things you are giving meaning to. And they're either serving you or they're not. Right? So that's number one, yourself. Number two is, what is your story about other people? People are blah, 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 blah. This group of people are da, 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 da. That's your belief. From this group of people, maybe it's your family, I expect these things, right? From this group of people, I assume this. Remember, what does assumptions do? They make an ass out of you and me. You've heard it a million times. Most suffering comes from, not most, but a lot of suffering comes from assuming someone will do something and they don't do it. Say yes if that hit a chord. I know it did. Take a deep breath. So number one is the story of yourself. Number two is the story of others. And number three is your story about the world. What do you believe about the world? What do you expect from the world? And what do you assume from the world? This is big because this is our world view. This is how we walk around the world. So you expect the world to be like this, and then it doesn't do this, and then you're disappointed. You assume the world is this and this and this, and then it doesn't do that, and then you're disappointed. Or you're sad, or you're angry, or you're depressed. Because the world isn't what you assume, expect, or believe it should be. Now, it's really important that we identify it first before we can begin to change it. All the things we're talking about today take work. It's not just, you're not going to listen to this and just be like, okay, I got it, Max. All my stories are different. No. You have to do the work. You've heard me say that a million times. You have to do the work. Okay, so now we got our three areas. Yourself, others, and the world. Got it? And you're going to look at your expectations, your assumptions, and your beliefs in those areas, right? I would suggest that you write it down. You can do it if you want to. All right. Now, so once you kind of get an idea about what those things are, then what do you do? You got to start to change the story. And I'm going to give you 3 ways to begin. This is just to begin, right? You only have so much time on YouTube. But here's 3 ways to begin to change your stories. Ready? Get your pen out if you haven't already. Here we go. The first way of starting to let go, starting to change your story is to let go of the past. You see, the past is over and done, first of all, and it's informing your present moment. So you had an issue with your mother, and so you created a belief because this issue, an argument, but that happened in the past, right? As long as you keep that expectation, that assumption, and that belief about your mother in the present moment, you're going to continue that story, and then guess what? Your mother is going to keep, and when I say your mother, I don't necessarily always have to mean your biological mother, if you know what I mean. Your mother is going to keep reacting from the story that you're giving them, her, it, because that's what you're expecting. So you have to let go of the past and be open to number 2, and be open to a new perception of your mother. You have to let go of all the past perceptions, and you have to then be open to number 2, be open to new perceptions. Be open to changing perceptions, to a different view or a different perception of your mother. Get it? Good. Number 1 is let go of the past. Number 2 is to be open to changing your perceptions or changing your perceptions on your own. You can choose to change your perceptions on your own, right? Now, finally, number 3. And number 3 is one of the things that probably is the most difficult. It's the most difficult. Number 3 is you have to accept your mother the way she is. You have to accept the situation the way it is. You have to accept the world the way it is. Because if you don't accept the way it is, you will never have peace. And you will constantly be pushing against. And you're going to be always fighting the good fight, is what they say. Right? You can either go through the world fighting the good fight, or you can allow it all to be and then go on your business and have a prosperous and peaceful and joyful life. That's how, those are your choices. You can either be fighting the good fight and resisting, because this should be like this, and they shouldn't be like this, and I shouldn't be like this. I should be fatter. I should be skinnier. I should be smarter. I should be more successful. They should treat me this way. You could walk through your life like that. Or you could have a story that says, oh, I can just allow them to be, and I can just move into my life. No matter what they do, no matter how it is. You get it? So let's recap for the whole day. First of all, you have to look at your assumptions, your expectations, and your beliefs around any story that's going on. And then in order to start to change it, you have to let go of the past. Second, you have to be willing to change your perception, or change your perception consciously. And third, you have to accept what? That's how you start to change your stories and make your stories really help you instead of hurt you. All right, everybody? So, if you're new here, please say hello, introduce yourself in the comments below, and I will definitely respond and say hello, and I would love that. And please tell some of your stories that are not working for you right now, or stories that are working for you, in the comments below. All right? And subscribe if you feel like you would like to have more of this work, and follow me on Instagram at Attract Positive Results. All right, my friend, remember, today could be the best day of your life. And that's the truth. I will see you in the next story.